Another set of Manchester United players have been knocked out of the World Cup, and that is Bruno Fernandes and Dalot. If Ronaldo had not been thrown out of the club, it would have been a trio, as it was yesterday when Brazil was knocked out by Croatia. Freddy, Casemiro and Anthony, United trio. This time it's a United double, that is Bruno and Dalot. Bruno Fernandes has gone ahead and really talked a lot that is really called for, because he has points in talking, and I'm going to show you what he has really gone ahead to say after this game of football. But he has been knocked out of the World Cup and he is no longer in the tournament. Welcome to United Matters channel. How are you guys, and where are you watching us from? Smash the like button, comment and share. If at all you're watching us for the very first time, lower right bottom corner, that's the place to be. Smash the subscription button. After smashing it, hit the notification bell that will enable you get notified every time we upload a video onto the channel, and that is United Matters channel. Rokan David is my name, and don't forget to continue subscribing to our channel, because the more you subscribe, the more we grow in numbers. We are left with like 800 subscribers to hit 10,000 subscribers, and I'm calling you up to go on and really subscribe to the channel to see to it that we hit that mark before 2023. Now today, the game of Portugal and Morocco was one of the most anticipated ones. I expected a shock, but on a percentage of like 30%, and 70% I thought Portugal would go on and beat a team which goes by the names of Morocco. But guys, Morocco, one of the African teams, is really great, and they conceded a very stupid goal from Diego Costa, the goalkeeper. He came out and misled or miscalculated the flight of the ball, and it made that Moroccan player and almost hit it or netted it the back of the net to make it 1-0 in the first half for the Moroccans. And obviously they led by 1-0, and obviously that puts him in a very dangerous situation. I'm talking about Diego Costa because he's one of the goalkeepers that United has always been looked up to a lot by Erik ten Hag. He's an admirer, and FC Porto are now looking at themselves because they are calling for close to 70 million euros to sign this goalkeeper. Now, how can you sign a goalkeeper like that and call for 80 million euros when he is making such blunders? You get? That was a howler. However much goalkeepers have gone ahead to make howlers, but there is a level at which your concentration levels need to be at 100%. If it was a shot that it went through him, that would have been okay. But this is a ball that comes in through when he's seeing it, because a goalkeeper rarely gets off his goal line to come into contact with the players when he has not calculated that flight of the ball very well. But Diego Costa had a lot to do on this game of football, and he really went ahead to really knock the miss, and obviously it was netted into his net, and it made 1-0 for Morocco, and that is the goal that Morocco really did to go on and win the game of football. Bruno Fernandes hitting the crossbar in the first half around the 20th minute. He went in for a very curling effort using his outside foot, and it went curling onto the crossbar, and nevertheless Portugal couldn't find a goal to level that game of football to go into the semi-finals of the World Cup. I had predicted Portugal to go to the World Cup, but obviously, sorry, to win the World Cup, Argentina and Brazil, but those two have been knocked out, and only one team is still in. Let's wait and see how Argentina is going to perform on Tuesday as they play against Croatia down there in Qatar. But some sad story, Diego Dalot was taken off injured. I believe he has played a lot of football, and we are waiting to see what the scan is going to come out and read, because I believe he's going to get out of Qatar and fly to Manchester United, and they are going to run a diagnosis and a scan, hence telling us how long this player is going to be out. Now, Diego Dalot being out, coming in back injured, is a blessing in disguise to me, especially coming back injured. Why? The board of United has to go in and sign a right back in January, like it or not. They have to go on and sign a right back in January, because Ten Hag is having only one right back fully fit. And even if they stick with Aaron Wan-Bissaka, it won't make sense, because even if he gets an injury, he also is going to come out and really back him up. Meaning that, like it or not, they have to go all out and sign what we call a right back at Manchester United. But it's bad news for Diego Dalot. I believe he had played lots of games at Manchester United. All of the games that we played this season, Diego Dalot played them, apart from that game of Fulham when he was suspended because he had accumulated 5 yellow cards. And the other game he missed out on not playing 90 minutes was that game of Shelf when you're playing away. He played only 60 minutes. The manager took him off and brought on Malacia and Luke Shaw. Then even the first game he played in the UEFA Europa League at Old Trafford, he played only 45 minutes. The manager took him off and brought on Victor Lindelof. So I believe he gets healed quickly because we need him. He was so much integral into that back four of United that was solid, and he used to put everything better and give us promises that we can make it to the levels that we expect to be. So bad news for Diogo Dalot, but he's knocked out of the World Cup, and to United it's also a very huge injury blow for Diogo Dalot. He has sustained an injury, and let's wait and see what the scans are really going to go ahead and really tell us about his injury that he has sustained today in the World Cup. They are knocked out. Ronaldo's cried. Bruno Fernandes has come out and really put out utterances that are really very, 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 very right, according to me, because you can't come out and give a team like Portugal, a referee whose team is still into the World Cup. That's out. I believe for me, they would have got a referee from teams that are no longer into the World Cup. That's it. That would have made a very better call for these referees. But Bruno really has a point. And in his point, there are those that are really invalid and those that are really valid. The first one, he said in the first half, there is a clear penalty on me. I'm isolated and never in my life will I let myself fall when I'm alone in front of the goalkeeper and I can shoot on goal in a situation like that. The VAR checked and gave nothing. So for this, I'm not going to stand with Bruno because I believe we've seen very many penalties like this not given, and they are soft penalties. Referees in the World Cup have taken it the hard way. They've gone the hard way. The referees in the World Cup have gone the hard way. They are not giving out penalties that would have been given in the Premier League, and you saw that you saw that English referee that was officiating the game of Brazil. You saw how badly he looked. He looked very, very badly, according to me, because he was never going in for calls that are really called for. Sometimes he goes for cheap fouls. So to me, I believe this was a cheap foul, and very many like these have not been given in the World Cup. If at all you don't know, Mr. Bruno, for that, I'm not standing with you, but let's wait and see what you said next. Then he said, our referees officiate the Champions League, so they have the quality and level to be here. Argentinians don't referee Champions League. They are not used to this type of games. They don't have the pace for this. They clearly leaned the field. And obviously, if he says this, obviously, he's right. You can't tell me that Portuguese referees are not in the World Cup. They are not officiating any game. Why aren't they officiating any game? And this is where reality bites in to confirm that maybe FIFA is really setting up this trophy for Argentina, as Bruno goes ahead to say this. For that, I believe in Bruno, because they must be having referees into this game of football. Is it a must that every continent has to be represented at the World Cup as far as referees are concerned, even if they're not having referees that are really at that level? I believe the UEFA that sends referees to the FIFA World Cup should come out and explain, why aren't we having Portuguese referees in the World Cup? That's a very big call and a question that requires an answer from the UEFA board that really sends referees to the World Cup. Then Bruno concluded and said, I would say that I have to say they can fuck later. It's very strange to have a referee who still has their nation team in the competition. We don't have a Portuguese referee. So for him, there is even another quote that I don't even care when they want. There is another quote of Bruno Fernandes that I don't even care whether they want. Let me look for it. There is another quote that Bruno really said about Argentina, that maybe they want Argentina to win the World Cup. That's why they've done this, to really lock him out of the Champions League, the league, and obviously and has everything to do. So Bruno really came out and said a lot of utterances that were really led by obviously his anger of not having given a penalty into that game of football. But he's back, and him being back meaning that we are now having very many players back. Dalot is back, though injured. Bruno is back. Casemiro, Anthony, Freddy, Terrell Malacia. In just 2 days, we are having 6 players back. We are now left with Rashford, Varane, Harry Maguire, Lisandro Martinez, and Luke Shaw. 5 players left in the World Cup for United. Let's wait and see what they're going to go ahead and do. But obviously, Bruno Fernandes and Dalot are out of the World Cup. Bruno is spouting fire to the referees and the World Cup organizers, that is FIFA, that they are doing injustice to the team. What are your reactions for Fernandes and Dalot knocked out of the World Cup? Especially, that means they're going to be 7 days out, meaning that around the 18th or 19th, they'll join the team, and I think they'll be available for picks when United is going to play Burnley in the Carabao Cup. Thank you very much for watching in through. Rokan David is my name. Thank you for keeping it United Matters channel. I sign out for now. See you later. And we are going to return with the match reaction of United versus Real Betis, where Real Betis is leading United by 1-0 in Spain.